Hello, 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 and welcome to Relationship Rhetoric. I'm your host, Unapologetically Angela. Thank you so much for joining me on this Thankful Tuesday. I have had the pleasure this month of talking to parents of children with autism, and it has brought a lot of awareness, not just to me, but to my listening audience. I've had a lot of people chiming in and appreciative of the information that they've received about not just how to. Respond and interact with the children, but the parents as well. The parents as well. We have a tendency to forget that there are caretakers, adults that are responsible for the children, and they have needs as well. So it's been amazing just hearing these stories. It is really helping. Even I've heard a lot of people with the atypical child, listening to some of the things that they are saying that they are guilty of taking advantage of and not really honing in on their own children. So again, each parent, I am truly appreciative of you coming and sharing your story, especially our parents and children of color. We do have a tendency not to want to share what's going on in our lives as far as our health and our mental health and our struggles. So it's really good to have a community of people that are willing to talk and share out, because you have no idea who is listening and who your story can help. So I am so pleased to be able to end this month with the Spearmans. I think I've been texting back and forth with Tanisha. Am I pronouncing that right? Okay. I've been talking back and forth with her, and she has shared the excitement in just sharing their story. So I would like to present to you guys Cameron and Tanisha Spearman. Hello, hello, hello.
There we go.
Okay. So like with the rest of the people that I've spoken to, I really want to start out with you all just discussing what was life like before having children. Was, having children planned, and was the pregnancy normal, things of that nature?
Okay. Life before children. No, we've been married for 16 years, so that was a long time ago. Life before children was free.
Yes.
It was free. It was just me and him. We would, at the drop of a hat, be like, "Let's go out to dinner tonight." I slept in a lot.
Just stayed up all night.
I did other things on the weekend, like just I'm going to get my nails done. I'm going to just hang out, or whatever it was. So
Yeah.
we were free, very, very free.
Okay. So how many years did you all have just with no kids in the marriage?
We had
Almost two.
two.
Oh, okay.
Two, yeah.
Okay.
2 years with no kids, and then we got married in March of 2006, and I got pregnant in June for the first time.
Okay.
So Braylon and Brielle were my third pregnancy.
Okay.
So I had a miscarriage our first pregnancy, and then a tubal my second pregnancy.
Okay.
And so then I got pregnant with them, and they're actually triplets.
Wow.
But we lost one.
Okay.
So the pregnancy was, well, I was high risk out the gate.
Right.
One, because it was more than one baby, and I had some health problems just coming into the pregnancy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I went on bed rest around 20 weeks.
Wow.
Yes, I went on bed rest around 20
Was it
weeks.
20?
It was around 20 weeks because they came at, so I was on bed rest for about 12 weeks. I remember because I watched a lot of Oprah.
Yeah, but you did get permission to get your hair done. That was
I could leave the
exception.
house once a week to get my hair washed.
Wow. Okay.
So I was on bed rest for 12 weeks, and around 31 weeks maybe I went into the hospital for bed rest.
That's about right.
Yeah. And I was on bed rest in the hospital for almost a week, and then I had an emergency C-section.
You gonna do it, Brio?
Okay. Okay.
So they both came literally at the same time, about 30 seconds apart.
Wow.
It's harassing us right now.
Yes. About 30 seconds apart. So they both were born at 8:05.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And, Braylon is the oldest by maybe 30 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you were bed rest at home, was there a nurse visiting you, or you were still being able to leave and go to the doctor?
I could go to the doctor, and me and my doctor made a deal that I could get my hair washed once a week. So that was it. So I watched a lot of TV.
Wow. Dad, what was that experience like? Her being on bed rest and only getting her hair washed.
Yeah, Kat, like you said, I mean, come hell high water, she wasn't missing the hair appointment, so that had happened. I don't care.
Listen,
So she had to make that deal with the doctor. Yeah, okay.
If I'm gonna be laying in the bed, I'm gonna look good laying in the bed.
That's right. That's
I was
right.
hard on him though. I was.
There's a hub I learned real quick just to shut up and let it roll.
What, when you say hard on him?
I was hard on him because I wanted him to bring me cups of Sonic ice every night. And if he didn't bring it, I was upset.
Yeah, it had to be specifically, as she called, the good ice.
Yeah.
Can't just get ice out the freezer. No, gotta be the Sonic ice. Well, certain cat has it now too. So hey,
yeah,
the big cup.
Or Chick-fil-A, you could get like the gallon bags.
Yeah.
Or, you know.
What I didn't have space for food. I didn't eat a lot because I mean.
Yeah, that was the one thing I found kind of funny. She was the one pregnant woman that would not eat.
Really?
At all.
I was sick the whole time.
Yeah, because at one point you actually lost weight, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Really? So how were they encouraging you to get nutrients and stuff in your system?
Well, I was still kind of making myself eat, but I was taking prenatals, and in the beginning, the morning sickness wasn't so bad, so I could eat and things like that. And then I had just diabetes, so I had to eat.
Wow.
Yeah. So I ate then, but there were just certain things I just would not eat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the babies are born, and are you healthy? Is everything okay?
Well, the big thing was when they took them early was because my blood pressure was up and the fluid was going down around them.
Okay.
So after I had them, it went back to normal.
Okay.
Braylon came out as a clone of him. Everything.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And Brielle came out mad.
Really?
Not breathing like she should have, but she's still the same now as she was when she was born.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we talking about you right now. The random sounds in the background is Brielle right now.
She was still like, I don't fool with anybody. Don't look at me. Don't. Yeah. That was her.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Did they stay in the hospital?
They were. Was it maybe 3 weeks?
Yeah, it was right about a month because they came home on your birthday?
Yeah, they came home on my birthday.
So right about 3 weeks. Yeah,
because they were supposed to stay until their actual due date, which would have been the 21st of December. But Brielle kept pulling the feeding tubes out because they were together in the bed. And she was doing all this stuff, which forced Braylon to learn how to drink a bottle, and they gained weight. And so they were able to come home early.
Wow. So were you in the hospital at the same time?
They were born on the 21st of October, and I stayed, I think, until Halloween.
27th. I was born 21st.
Well, yeah, they're born on 28th. They were born on 28th. And so I stayed in the hospital till Halloween.
Okay.
And I could have stayed longer, but just you can't rest like you should in the hospital. So I kind of made the decision, okay, I'll go home and pump and go up to the NICU for every visit.
Okay. Miss C-section wasn't having all this, okay, you got to rest for, 2 weeks, whatever. She was trying to walk, next day?
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Albeit slowly, but,
I was like, I had to get to my baby. I had to go downstairs.
It was kind of funny because everybody, I mean, me, my mom, her mom, your sister, everybody had seen the kids, but the mama.
Yeah, I saw pictures of them.
Wow. Okay. So I can get that.
Yeah, it's in my bag.
Okay. So upon them being born, Are the doctors saying they're normal just because they were early? They were in the NICU.
Um, they were. They didn't really have anything serious in the NICU. Braylon had jaundice.
Okay.
He did have that, and they just had to gain weight and learn to drink a bottle.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So those were the big things.
Okay.
Um, and learn to hold body heat.
Oh.
Yeah. So before they leave the NICU, they have to do like a car seat test and all of this stuff before they can go home.
Okay. Okay. So the babies come home.
Yes,
Okay. What is that experience like?
that is wow. We go from just us to two babies, one that is loud all the time,
Oh dear God,
Braylon,
yeah.
and one that she's just so chill. And we would always uh like go back and forth over who was feeding who because Brielle would take her bottle so fast. But I was like, look, I'm pumping. I get the fast baby. um, so it was that first couple weeks was exhausting because we had to feed every 3 hours around the clock. Wow. And pump in between. So
So we were told until what? Who was that told us that that's what the nurse in the NICU do because they're there all the time.
Yeah.
We don't have the luxury.
Dr.
So
Livingston.
oh yeah, that's right. So just
Until
do what
their
you gotta do.
until their pediatrician was like, they'll wake up when they need to eat, leave them alone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 So at what point did you all start noticing that something was not normal?
Um, Braylon was pretty early.
Does in the womb count?
Yes. Absolutely. I think.
They were. You're right. They were not. They did crazy stuff in her womb. Like Brielle would cover his face and like get in front of him where we couldn't see him on the ultrasound. Like,
Yeah, that's right. The ultrasound where they're like, okay, Bradley's definitely a boy. I mean, that was pretty obvious. Brielle, we think that's a girl, but she has squatted and sat down, so I can't see it.
right. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And what I think it may have been Braylon that first one you just saw him basically jumping.
Yeah, he was real. Yeah, he was real active.
Like the boy doesn't have hands and he's jumping. Okay.
Yeah. Braylon was pretty early because he didn't meet a lot of milestones.
Okay.
Like Brielle walked before him, she crawled before him, which he didn't even really
He never
crawl.
really
He
crawled.
did like
He
a
kinda
army
skipped it.
crawl.
Yeah.
He did like an army crawl. So he never actually got up on his knees and crawl. He just did the army crawl and then started walking. He stood up and started walking.
Okay.
He didn't make eye contact. That was one of the first things I noticed. But he didn't make eye contact. He didn't make the same like sounds that babies make.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that Brielle had words. Like she would try to say words, and eventually she repeated some words, actually 2 words, like back to me, and he didn't.
Okay.
So, and they were early intervention out the gate. Yeah, they were already in like an early intervention just for being preemies.
Okay. And how were they at this time?
When we left the NICU, they were already like setting them up for like physical therapy, things like that we knew they may need to keep track of, milestones. So we we noticed pretty early with Braylon.
Okay.
And here comes Braylon now. And yeah, well, Cameron is going to help Braylon.
Okay, understand.
You never know a moment. So Braylon was pretty early. I noticed things with him. And so around two, between like 1.5 and 2, he still didn't have any words. Like he didn't mumble, he didn't make eye contact, he was still missing milestones. And we also noticed when he ate, he would like stuff his mouth really, really full.
Hmm.
So we talked to our pediatrician about it, and he was like, okay, we can get him evaluated at that's Braden laughing at the bowling center and kind of see what's going on.
Okay.
Um, so I remember the day so clearly. I took him to the bowling center. We saw the developmental pediatrician. They did the testing, um, just to see where he was, and he got his autism diagnosis that day. And I remember driving home, and I called Cameron and told him. And as soon as I hung up the phone, I just like fell apart because I had been around children with autism and I kind of knew what it looked like.
Mhm.
And so then I started to think about what is that going to look like for him,
Right.
because he already had a developmental delay. He didn't speak yet, and I mean at the time you never know it too. He may speak.
Right.
Um, so we did end up getting him into Harwood, which was they had an autism class.
Okay.
And so when they started there, Brielle was in what kind of a typical class.
Okay.
Because we just didn't notice as many things with her as him. But thank God they had teachers that were like, maybe we should get her tested too. And so she got tested too. She got her diagnosis too. It wasn't very far behind him.
Okay.
Um, and so it was just kind of like, okay, this is doing this double. Let's figure out what to do. So we immediately went into, okay, what do they need? How do we get it? All of those things. And so they were both in the autism class, and getting therapies there, and all of these things. And all the things. Now I cannot say enough about Harwood. They were our saving grace, I think.
Oh yeah.
Because they understood, you know, what they needed, what we needed. And so we felt safe leaving them there, because my plan was to stay home with them at least until kindergarten. Because
Okay.
after I got pregnant, I didn't go back to work.
Okay.
So they went to Harwood until they were 6.
Wow. So how did you find out about Harwood? Was this a recommendation of the pediatrician?
It was,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was our pediatrician, and
Yeah, I remember not trying to put you on the spot. I remember, we first talked about it. It was kind of like a thanks but no thanks, if you will.
Yeah.
Not trying to speak for you, but I think I understand this. Where
I was
like you
very
said,
protective.
Yeah, like you said,
Okay.
you plan on staying with them until
Yeah.
kindergarten, and just wasn't ready to. I don't want to say let go, but
That's
let
what
go.
it
Yeah,
was. Yeah, I was a little bit resistant to it at first until we like went to tour and kind of met everybody. And even then I was kind of like, oh, I don't know.
And then kind of keep in mind, we both, well, you more than me, we both worked in the daycare background before,
Yeah.
so we know how it can and can be with typical kids,
Mhm.
Right. Right.
especially babies, let alone kids on the spectrum, where even today we're still learning on
Yeah.
how it looks from one child to another. So just imagine not wanting to,
Yeah,
like I
and it
said,
was
let
because
go and
yeah, and it's because they had so many extra needs.
Mm-hmm.
So you wondered like, can anybody, and not that they couldn't meet those needs, but of course nobody meets the needs of your children like you do.
That's right. That's
So
right.
that was my biggest thing. And I was like, I laid
they're
in the
not going to
bed.
Hollywood.
I was like, I
Like,
laid in
they're
the
not
bed for
going.
12 weeks.
You just said plain something. They're not going.
Yeah. But it didn't take very long for me to kind of, once we toured and stuff like that, and
Yeah, because that was what was the other one or the special kids? I
Yeah,
think the name of it
we actually
was.
toured more than one school. There were two,
Hmm.
and I didn't like the first one off the
Right.
bat. I was like, nope, and I didn't change my mind on that one.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So where
Again,
did they
let it roll.
where did they transition to when they left Harwood?
We actually that was
Woo! That was a story, but I'm sorry. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Uh, we fortunately and unfortunately we compare everything to Harwood. So when they were getting ready to go to kindergarten and what it looked like them going to like Shelby County schools, Memphis City schools at the time.
Yeah, that's literally
Um,
right when the merger was happening.
yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So we didn't know what that would look like, and it was just a struggle to even though we had their diagnosis, they had seen a developmental pediatrician, they were already getting these therapies at school and privately. It was still kind of a struggle to get them on board with this is what they need.
Mm-hmm.
We need to acknowledge that autism diagnosis, for example,
Right.
at first.
Hmm.
No, it's literally on paper, but when
They want to evaluate too.
right, and
Yeah.
it's one of the reasons I'm really glad we're kind of doing this talk is as we kind of learned the hard way, um, with us special needs kids, these IEP meetings, if you will, and really just knowing your rights as a parent,
That's
Yeah.
right.
because
That's right.
because even some people today and more back in the day, especially, you just kind of took what they gave you,
Yeah.
know.
And that's especially for people of color, parents of color. They tend to, unfortunately, not know and understand their rights, or even feel safe asking for help to know
Right.
their rights.
Right.
So that was a big thing, and yeah, we did learn the
Yeah,
hard way.
and that was another blessing about Harwood.
Yeah.
When we eventually went back to another meeting, the kids teacher, the director of Harwood were there at the meeting with us to
Yes.
help us out, point things out.
Hmm.
Can't do this, or this needs to be here.
Hmm.
This is what they got going on. Okay, can't deny this, or
Yeah.
I'm going off camera now.
Uh-huh. And of course, it was kind of a situation where it was always get everything in writing.
Yes. Yeah.
Everything in writing.
Yeah.
The smallest thing, put it in the IEP,
Mm-hmm.
no
Mm-hmm.
matter what it is. So yeah, Harwood was yeah, they went into that meeting with us like we're gonna figure this out and get it right.
Nice.
But
Nice.
even with that, it's just I it our relationship with
Yeah,
that with the school system was just sour at
yeah.
that point.
There's a couple things about that. And, the one thing about when the merger was happening, and this isn't a shot at anybody, but literally nobody knew what was happening. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even people in the system.
Hmm.
Uh, some don't know if they're going to have jobs in the next couple of weeks, so nobody knew what was happening. So that was kind of a weird thing. And then this is, I guess, the blessing in disguise that we had to break in our apartment.
Yeah. Hmm.
They kind of prompted us to, well, we're getting out of there anyway, so it kind of prompted us to really, broaden our horizons and wind up, looking at DeSoto County,
Hmm.
uh, which I know the state of Mississippi is a bad rap, but me working down there for a while and meeting a lot of the teachers that work in that school system. One thing about the DeSoto County schools, basically the whole state of Mississippi comes up there to train and learn from them.
Wow.
So they kind of said something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I guess I also didn't help when we went to, what was it? Was it Germanshire? The school they were assigned to.
Yeah, we did
No.
go there, and I knew like from the
Pretty
start
quickly.
they wouldn't be able to handle Braylon. Yeah,
Okay.
because Braylon had a lot of sensory needs,
Mm-hmm.
and at that point around 6, he had already learned. Let me see how far I can go
Oh wow.
with
Okay.
boundaries.
Okay.
Well,
And you had to be firm with him out the gate, and he's still like
he
that.
got there for me. I do it now at 43. So hey,
So that was my next question. How are they now? How old are they now?
They're 14 now.
Wow. Okay.
So our experience with K through 2 was great.
Okay.
I was at the school a lot volunteering, so I kind of knew what was going on and things like that because I still hadn't gone back to work.
Yeah.
Because even though they were in school then during the day, they still needed me more,
Right.
a good bit. So when we moved to third grade, everything just pretty much hit the fan. Yeah, it was a disaster.
Wow.
Um, the school they were going to, we had already heard a couple things about it, but I was kind of like, okay, let's just see if it works out. And from day one, it was a no.
Wow.
Not
Um,
even day one. What is it, meet the teacher day?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
what that's when
Even
that's when it
before day one,
was.
yeah.
When we went to meet the teacher, their classroom was in a locker room, like in the gym.
Basically, I don't even want to call it converted locker room, but a converted locker room.
Yeah, it wasn't converted
They didn't
because
convert
they still
much.
had showers, they still had toilets in there. And Braylon is a child that loves water. Yeah, he loves water.
So thankfully, you won't do it now, but then, okay,
He
if
would
it's
put
water,
his
like
hands in
say
the toilet.
toilet, let's go.
Yeah, he would like try to get up to his elbows in the toilet.
Wow.
Um,
So basically to cover where the toilets and even urinals were in their locker room, they just had basically curtains, like shower curtains.
yeah,
It's like, oh, that ain't gonna work. They're like, okay, yeah, it's gonna be fine. And then like 2 seconds later, Braylon makes a break for it, hands straight in the toilet.
yeah,
Mm.
into
Mm.
Okay, we may have to figure something out here.
yeah. That was when, honestly, I was pissed.
Indeed.
That was when I was like, why do the self-contained kids have to be in the gym in the locker room? Like, what is going on? Who thinks that this is okay?
And just imagine, okay, it's still next to the gym, so gym class is gonna happen at some point.
Right. And we have kids with sensory needs that don't like loud noises. So you can imagine what that looks like. So Braylon was definitely going to have a meltdown a lot. Um,
Was it literally first or second day? The teacher would gave you the text or phone call said she's out of ideas.
Oh,
yes.
Like that was
Yeah.
pretty quick.
Yeah. And
But
I
how
was
long she last? Did you want quitting after?
well,
Like, did
I
she finish a
was
month?
I I turned into Cruella de Vil.
uh-huh.
I was like, y'all gonna find them a classroom like every other class has. And so I think from that moment on, I think they literally hated me because every little thing I was like, this doesn't ride. You can't do this. You can't do that. And so they did eventually move them to a regular classroom. So I pushed for that. Um, According to him, I made some people cry.
No, it wasn't according to me. It actually happened.
I probably
Yeah.
did. I mean, what logical person thinks that putting special needs kids, especially in an old locker room?
Yeah. No,
I
not
mean,
at
you had your high functioning, especially these kids, if you will, in a regular classroom. Why? Why do it to the other ones?
Yeah.
right. Right.
And so
Well,
Wow.
any kid for that matter. I mean,
Any child.
any
any
child.
child, yeah.
Child. That's crazy.
And so from then on, I was constantly getting called to the school. Can you come pick Braylon up? Can you do this? Can you do that? We can't calm Braylon down. It was just something every day, every single day. And I'm like, these are things you're supposed to have things in place to handle. You shouldn't call me every day to come pick him up. Or at one point, I think they even suggested him having an abbreviated day. And I was like, no.
Oh wow, yeah, I did forget about
Yeah,
that.
I was like, no, he's
Yeah.
supposed to have a full day of school like every other child. And it didn't get better from that moment on. It got to where one day I got a call saying, look at Braylon's arms. And I looked at his arms and he had full hand on both of his arms, like full handprints on both of his arms.
What? the third teacher that school year. Is that right?
Yeah, they had a lot of teachers.
Which
'Cause
that says nothing right
I think
there.
I drove the first teacher crazy. She quit.
Oh, first quit out like 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then they got another one. And that one quit too.
Yeah.
And then when the thing happened with Braylon and his wrist, the third teacher quit. So from then, and then the other thing that happened was Brielle has pica. And so at the time she got her cycle pretty early. And so we always said, don't let her go to the restroom by herself. She likes to put things in her mouth. And so she put a sanitary napkin in her mouth. And I ended up having to take her to the pediatrician. She had to get a certain medicine and all this stuff. And so when everything happened with Braylon, I was like, I can't send them back. So I emailed and I said they won't be back. I don't feel safe with them coming back. And they sent the truancy officer. Yeah. They sent the truancy officer and she left a note on the door.
I say, yeah, I remember the letters, okay.
And I was just kind of like, I don't care. I mean, I'll go to jail for my kids.
That's
whatever.
right. That's right.
And so we that's when we went into like this whole battle of placement with them.
Okay.
Because they were trying to get us to think that it was okay for them to stay. And we were like, absolutely not.
Wow.
And that went on. That went on for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a full head of hair before that happened.
Well, it had gotten so bad to where like my sister's in Atlanta and one of our IP meetings, my mom took off work. My sister flew here from Atlanta to go into the IP meetings because she's a SPED teacher.
Okay.
And by that time we had an attorney. Like it was, everything was going. And we went into mediation. We were in mediation.
Well, with the mediation before we had to get the attorney, even the mediator got to the point where we were about to come to some of agreement that she thought about for a second. It was like, wait a minute.
And she
without saying it, because she couldn't say it, but
she was like,
they can't do that.
Yeah, don't
agree to this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we were in mediation a long time that day, some hours, and no agreement on placement. And
we did get a temporary placement at another school.
Yeah.
To finish out that year, but at the end of that year, that's really when the real fight started of them trying to make them go back to their school.
Yeah.
Granted,
saying that was their neighborhood place.
Their placement, yeah. Assigned school, yeah. They, as far as we were told, at least, they made all these different changes to mirror the school that they had been temporarily assigned to, where they showed almost immediate progress.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, as any mother knows, once you go past that point with the kids, I don't care if Jesus is in there teaching, they're not going back.
Right. Yeah. Right.
But they thought that it was okay for them to go back. Like it was so much trauma for both of them that they ended up having to see a psychiatrist. Yeah. And like it was,
they felt if they made all those changes like the other school had, and all the assistants have been changed out, the teacher had been changed out, the principal, even the different principal, but the assistant that was there with all the mess, that was the only one that didn't leave for whatever reason. But still, across that point, they weren't going back.
Yeah.
So
that's when all the mediation and the lawyer mess.
Yeah, and I ended up having to file complaint with the Department of Education, and they found them in violation of FAPE. Wow.
So parents that are possibly listening and are feeling the same, because we hear it all the time, this is their zone school and this is where they belong. What advice would you give them? Because you said it at first, they're afraid, they don't think they know, they feel unsure, and they don't really know anything about mediation and legalities of it. What would be your advice to them?
Don't sign that IEP until you're 100% sure that's where you want your child. Ask, can you visit a couple schools because you need for that placement to be appropriate for your child. And they even offered us a school that would take us 45, almost 45 minutes to get to. And they were like, "Oh, well, we can send them
Yeah.
here."
And just go away from that school, we were that close to
We were
doing that.
considering
You
it,
know,
but I was like, it's ridiculous to send them all the way out there when there are schools closer to
yeah.
us.
And there's a good school. I mean, well, one, well, I kind of okay
Yeah.
both of them, but we can't really like one. But like I
Yeah.
said, it's the principle of it. I mean,
Why should we have to drive that far when this school's closer?
man,
Right.
the school has a requirement. We're talking about FAPE, what
Free and
free and appropriate
appropriate.
education.
Yeah.
Um, that the school has provided. And if they can't provide it, which I guess they use that technicality to give them that temporary assignment
Mhm.
that at the time school they were at couldn't provide that. But now they felt okay, since we made all these changes, okay, they provided. So
Yeah, now it's
you're gonna go to that
appropriate.
school, take it or leave
Mm-hmm. Wow.
it.
Nope.
Wow.
So then we had a whole thing about where they would go next. And so we finally agreed on a school and we got there and the teacher literally told me, she's like, I was scared of you the first day y'all came to visit the school. And they got there and it turns out the principal from their K through 2 school was the principal there. So I felt better about it. And so we put them there and they stayed there till 5th grade. It was 3 through 5 and
Yeah.
amazing. Absolutely amazing. Um then placement came around again.
Mm.
And this is where I tell parents, like, stand firm in what you know is appropriate for your child. You know your child better than anybody. You're your children's biggest advocate. Granted, teachers spend a good amount of time with your child. You still know your child the best.
That's right.
And so rather than go through the whole thing about placement, we were like, you know what? Let's just buy a house in a district where we know, is gonna a part of, the city where we know it's gonna serve them well.
Okay.
And that was what we did. Buying a house at that moment was not in our plan.
Of
It
course.
was not. But that is proof that the Lord he just opens it up for you, because it happened so fast. It happened so fast. I think
Oh yeah.
it happened like just over the summer.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it happened fast. And so we weren't, now that I think about it, we weren't even in our house when school started.
No, we weren't.
Well, yeah. Yeah, we weren't
We
even
weren't
in
even in the house yet.
we had closed on the house but not moved in. And so everything just kind of fell into place. And when I
That's good.
tell you, I know the Lord was tired of me. Like, look, I heard you the first time. I'm working on it.
School system was definitely tired.
Oh, for sure. Like, I think it had gotten to the point where, like, my reputation, and I hate to say
Mm-hmm.
it, got there before me. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm also if my children are happy, I'm very, very laid back.
Right.
So um now the school that they're in, um I'm kind of on the edge again because now they're getting ready to go to high school.
Yeah.
And so we had to talk about placement. And I was thinking, like, can they just stay one more year?
Look at him. Oh,
Yeah, every few years I have to go through there. So yeah.
And
yeah,
he
I'm
was
gonna
just like,
check back in with y'all when high school happens.
what is wrong with you?
Well, I want to
But
say thank you. I appreciate, because again, this is what they need to hear. They need to hear that it's a struggle,
it is. It's a
to
struggle
really.
to get every little thing that your child needs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
unfortunately, you're always offered the least amount of what they need first,
Mhm.
Right.
which is why we always get like private therapies too for them.
Okay.
So even outside of school, they get like speech and OT and stuff like that.
Okay.
But it's been a blessing for us to have them somewhere. And the other thing I want to say is, especially for parents that look like us, to have to move into a district where the schools are better, and for all schools not to have like across the board, be equal in everything that they
Mhm,
have.
Yeah.
mhm,
It is ridiculous to have to move to where the socioeconomic statuses of parents are better,
mhm, mhm.
and of course those kids are getting more. And so you look at it, okay, I've moved and we were blessed enough to be able to move where our children are in a, really good school, but every parent can't do that.
Right,
So
right.
every parent can't do like we did, and it was all God that we could just, decide, okay, we're ready to buy a house and move, into this area. So that was, yeah, that was nothing but God. Because I was like, look, we about to fight again. I don't know what I'm gonna do this time.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I applaud your fight. I thank you so much. I thank y'all both for sharing. I love being able to get both perspectives
Yeah.
of the story, I really am. When are they going to high school? How many years they got?
I don't want to talk about it.
I'm gonna check in with you. I'm gonna say, hey,
This is
how's
their
that high school looking?
Yeah, they're finishing up. They're going next school year.
Okay. Okay.
So we're going to visit the new school at least twice before
Okay.
they go. Oh, I feel short of breath. Just
Don't do it. Don't look at him. He just like praying. Help me.
I was crying in the IEP meeting. I was like, Lord, just
Well, know that I am praying for y'all. I know that you've already said that God's got y'all covered and everything is going to be
I
perfect.
think they'll be fine. They've
Yeah.
changed a lot since
Yeah.
everything that happened with that school. So
Good deal. Good
yeah.
deal. Well, like I said, thank y'all for sharing with me. I really appreciate it. I'm going to send you this link so that you can share it out so it can get to as many people as necessary.
Okay.
And I really am going to check in and see how you're doing, Mama, so you can keep your pressure down.
Not good. Not first day. I'm gonna be like, I'm staying all day.
Oh, all right. I just don't want to see you on the news. That's all I ask.
Look.
No guarantee.
Yeah, it came close a few years back.
Yeah, we came close.
Oh my God. Oh
Not
my
for the reason you're thinking, but
Okay.
it came
No,
close.
it's probably was for the reason.
Not bad.
Because I was about to go in there and cut up.
Yeah, it did almost call in the wise, didn't it?
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I did forget about that. We did talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, Spearmans, I love y'all spirit. I love y'all energy. And I applaud you guys. Keep up the good work. Y'all are amazing parents.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining me.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right.
Have
Thank
a
you
good
for
day.
having us.
What a wonderful couple. I love people who are willing to fight for their children no matter what. Now, what your no matter what it is on you, but I can tell you just from listening, Mrs. Spearman is not playing about her kids. And I love that because I know so many parents who really and truly genuinely show no effort and no concern for their children. So for parents who are willing to put their life on the line for their children, I applaud you. And I'm a school teacher, so I'm there every single day. So I love that and I appreciate what you do. So family and friends, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that this month's interviews helped you just to hug on your children a little more. Make sure you're putting forth the effort. Make sure you're checking on that teacher. Make sure you're popping in to make sure that your children are getting the best education possible because you never know what's going on. I'm a teacher. You never know what's going on in that classroom. So if something is going on in your mind where you feel like you need to check in, check in. Okay. Education is free and it should be equal for all children. All children. Remember that. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Peace, love, and awareness.